Welcome back to The Rancher's Voice, the podcast where the heart of agriculture meets the pulse of today's industry. From policy changes to leadership stories in the Western lifestyle, The Rancher's Voice dives into the stories that matter most to ag producers.
Hello and welcome back to The Rancher's Voice. This is Kenny Reese, and this week our episode is going to look slightly different. We have our board of directors elections coming up, and so a few weeks ago we did some interviews with some of our candidates, and Ellie interviewed them, and so for the podcast this week and for the next couple of weeks, we will be sharing those interviews in anticipation of member voting happening this fall. So our first interview section will be of our Western District, and so I will let Ellie get right into it.
Okay, so with me right now is Craig Lien. He is running for our Western District Board seat. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Great. Well, we're glad to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Craig Lien. My wife and our family, I guess, we live in the middle of Camas Prairie, Montana, which is south of Hot Springs, about 17 miles, and about 17 miles east of Plains, Montana. Right in the middle of we've got our own little drainage basin. We live in the middle. We can see all the water we're going to get from our front steps. So,
Sounds nice. Can you tell us a little bit about your ranching operation too?
We run on about 1,000 deeded acres. We're a smaller operation. We run about 100 head of cows. We dryland farm 400 acres, graze the other 600, and run some cows on some lease ground.
Okay. And what are some leadership roles that you've held in the past or you still currently hold?
I've been on the school board, but that's been quite a few years ago. I was on the Camas Prairie School Board. I am currently a second vice president for the Western Montana Stockmen's Association. I've been a director of that organization for 12 or 14 years now, I think.
All right. And why do you want to be on Montana Stock Growers Board of Directors?
I think it's a great opportunity to represent the producers in my area, to make sure that their views are being brought forward, and to have the opportunity to take the state's views and bring them back and maybe help ensure that representation is, I guess, from our area. But I guess more than anything is I want to bring the people's views in my area to make sure that their way of looking at issues is addressed through the state, not just everybody's got a different lens that they look at an issue through, and I want to take the opportunity to represent the people in my area, I guess, to bring their views of issues forward.
Yeah. And what kind of issues are you most passionate about, or do you guys interface with the most?
I guess personally, one of the issues that I really feel is important to our industry is we have a fourth grade ag program up in our area where we have kids from fourth grade come out and they get to come out and see what a cow is. They get to come out and see what grain actually is. There's a huge disconnect, I think, that's becoming bigger by the day in where people think their food comes from. Even kids in local Montana think food just comes from the grocery store. They don't understand that a farmer rancher is raising that food, that he's using our natural resources to grow that food, that he's putting in the time to bring that hamburger in. I don't think we want people just thinking that hamburger is a manufactured thing that just comes from wherever. I think we want them to understand that it's healthy, nutritious food that farmers and ranchers are raising for them. The day that everybody decides that food comes from a grocery store, it's going to be easier for them to enact policies that are detrimental to our industry. The methane, cows are bad because of methane gas. That's a horrible narrative that needs to be stopped. And if we can get the young people of this nation getting that connection, it used to be that everybody, I think, had a grandpa or an uncle or somebody that raised food, whether that's cattle or whether it's grain. But now that disconnect is, it just makes it easier for people to enact policies that are detrimental to the American farmer and rancher.
Mm-hmm. And how have you been involved with stock growers in the past?
I've been a director with the Western Montana Stockmen's Association for the last 12 to 14 years. I'm second vice president now of that organization. Will presumably be the president in 3 years, I guess it'll be. And I have tried to be involved as much as possible. Like I said, the egg days is something that I'm real passionate about. I'm not going to take any credit for this. I have helped with it, but our organization has given away 89, I believe it is, heifers to young people over the last, I guess it's been 6 to 8 years. That program is something that I'm extremely proud to be part of with our organization. It has done great things, and it's not always the ranch kids that we give a heifer to that's as rewarding as the kid whose mom and dad have 20 acres for their horses that we give a heifer to. We make sure that they have a mentor, somebody that understands cattle, the requirements. We give that heifer to those young folks. They show it, they raise it, they get it bred, and after a year taking care of it, they get that animal. We sign that animal over to them, and that's just another course of letting people know where their food comes from, how it's raised. That young kid that maybe didn't grow up at all around ranching, didn't have an aunt or an uncle that raised animals. Now that kid that we've given this heifer to, well, now that's one more link in it that they might call and tell their uncle that, hey, they might tell their cousins and nephews, hey, I raise beef now. And it's one more link that helps everybody have that connection to I know somebody that raises my food. And I think that's very important.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and for doing this interview.
Thank you.
All right. So today we have with us Garrett Harshbarger. He is running for the Western District to be on MSGA's Board of Directors. Good morning, Garrett.
Morning.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a rancher from southwest Montana. It's in Waterloo, so most people don't know where that is, but it's kind of between Twin Bridges and Whitehall on the Jefferson River. We run Hereford cows crossed to Angus bulls. It's kind of what I've been trying to do. It's a third generation ranch. We make some hay. We sell a little bit of hay that we don't use for feeding the cows, and then I also have a separate business where we do agricultural fencing and help other producers with their needs.
Great. So you kind of did tell us a little bit about your ranching operation, but can you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, so when I came back from college, I took over as much as I could from my parents. So I consider what I have as a medium-sized deal. I run 200 mother cows, and we take the calves and we sell them in the fall as weaned calves. And then, like I said, we make hay. We got a bunch of irrigated ground that we put up all different kinds and feed a lot of it, but we still sell some. And then I also, in order for me to be able to do it when I started is to have that other business. And so, that started off as just fencing, but it also has grown into, excavation and water line work and all kinds of stuff. So kind of a ranch improvement company, I guess.
You do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So what are some leadership roles that you have had in the past?
I had a few. I was, way back, I guess leadership is, in sports, you're kind of a leader at some point. And then an FFA and stuff in high school. And then when I went to college, I was vice president in Alpha Zeta for a bit, and then I was heavily involved like in collegiate stock growers. Currently, I'm on the board of directors for the Southwest Montana Stockman, and I'm kind of fresh to that, so I haven't got to do too much yet. But other than that, not too much else.
So why do you want to be on Stock Growers Board of Directors?
I have a strong desire to see, my generation and even the next generations to continue ranching in Montana. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we need to see more of younger people getting involved and doing things. And so I guess I thought it was my time to try to step up. So,
what are some issues that you are really passionate about in the livestock industry? Or what issues do you see coming down the pike for us?
Yeah. I think, obviously land values rising, and like how do we keep it sustainable as far as how do ranches keep growing or, staying in business. That's a huge one, especially in my area. Land values just keep going up and up, and it's, it's not tied to what they can produce in eggs. So it's difficult to see how that's going to continue. Another one is water. Mm-hmm. Water is going to always be something that's needed by people and by animals in egg. And so, there's always going to be a battle as what's the best use for it. And I think that's another huge thing that's going to be something to think about in the future. So,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how have you been involved in MSGA in the past?
Yeah, I started in collegiate stock growers.
Mm-hmm.
Really liked it there. Went on, trips with that to like Denver to the stock show and stuff. And then once I got to this point, I guess I joined I was accepted into the MBAR Academy for stock growers. So that was kind of my foot in the door, I guess, to being more involved. I was always a member, but I was like, how do I go about it? And so I thought the MBAR would be a cool thing. I saw some of my peers did it in the last class. So and it was an awesome experience to be a part of that and get to meet people and get to meet, our board of directors and kind of get me included in it and kind of figure out how everything works, I guess. I also was, nominated to go to the YCC trip by the stock growers. So I went to that, and that was another big experience for me. I'd never traveled. I'd never even been to the East before, and to see egg on that scale was just kind of an eye-opener for me. Seeing the packing plants and those big feedlots, and then going to DC and seeing how that all works, really changed my perspective. And then just the people I met, there was all different facets of the industry, all different types of operations, different locations, but it was really cool how we all kind of had a common values or a common way of communicating. We could all talk, and we ended up being really close. And I have some friends in that I'll have forever. So it was a really cool deal.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Garrett, for submitting your application, and we wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, everybody, that concludes our episode for this week. We really appreciate you listening and encourage you to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and follow us on social media. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.